There's been a major debate over whether the MCU films should be considered cinema, and routinely Scorsese is cited. And some people think that Scorsese is saying all comic book films are bad or all superhero films are bad, but he's actually being slightly more restrictive. So we're going to hear from the horse's mouth himself. This is from a documentary on filmmaking, and he makes very clear he actually likes Spider-Man, directed by Sam Raimi.
Hollywood films are, as you say, like Spider-Man, which Sam Raimi's films I like, actually, and I'm very glad that it was a big success, but it widens the gap.
You have to place this in the larger context. That's true, but as far as I know, he's never disowned the quotation. Scorsese's position seems to be the MCU films in particular are an issue, but he himself was working on a Joker movie. So the subject matter or genre or even the theme itself is not something he has an issue with. It depends on who's doing it, why it's being done, and its effect. But he does hint at that these kinds of films are creating problems for more artistic films or more auteur films. So I guess it depends on when you date the birth of the MCU, which is kind of hard to do. But I would assume this is the late 2000s, whereas the Spider-Man films are really from early 2000s to mid 2000s. It is an interesting question, though, because they did actually plan Spider-Man 4 with Sam Raimi. Would he then think that the Raimi films went too far or are no longer, quote, pure cinema? Interesting question. But as far as we know, he is saying that at least Spider-Man 1 and Spider-Man 2 are legitimate cinema. Whether they're great films, that's another debate, but he's saying they do fit the category for him of cinema. So there were it's a bit of a factual correction on, I think, a big myth people have about Scorsese and the so-called superhero genre.